Good morning, everyone. Thank you for attending the Candidates Forum. The presentation of the Candidates Forum is under the direction of the District Delegate Assembly. In the rear of the ballroom, we have 4 district delegates who are answering or taking care of your questions. They're qualifying your questions to make sure that they are equal for all candidates. The 4 delegates are Georgia Klein, Jim Curry, Frank DiNucci, and Denny Rugenstein. And up front here we have Linda Spalding, who is our timekeeper. You'll see time placards and a thank you placard being waved to the candidates. My name is Joe Formino, and I will be the moderator for this morning's proceedings. Our candidates have drawn numbers to make their presentation, their introductions, and the first one we have is Sandy Moyer.
Sandy, go. Pledge. You want to start with a pledge?
I knew I'd forget something, and let's begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good luck. Borrow your pen for 1 second, please. Borrow this 1 second. Just take it right here.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Of course, you know I am Sandra Moyer. George and I are in our 14th year here at Sun Lakes, and we've loved every minute of it. Why am I running for the board? I want to help continue our legacy of being a great community. What makes us great? Affordable amenities, updated facilities, pristine grounds, knowledgeable and dedicated management staff and board members, but most of all of us, the people who live here. So what are my concerns or things that I would like to improve upon? First, we have an aging infrastructure. And one project is the lines that feed water to our championship golf course are about 30 years old. The materials are inferior and too small to allow optimal irrigation of our biggest asset. The other issue is, when and where possible, we need to get control of our increasing assessments. Now, the budgeting process is not easy, and sometimes situations come up that are not under our control, such as the city water rate increase from 2010 to 2013 that equaled over 59%. The other was the 2 governmental mandates to increase the minimum wage. But there are ways to mitigate these negative impacts. There are 2 projects that could significantly reduce our utility costs. One is the golf course turf conversion. Not only would it save in in water usage, it would save in maintenance costs as well as add life to the mowing equipment. It would also protect the course from future drought and mandated usages. The other is the solar panel project that was introduced last year. It was projected to save over $200,000 or around $200,000 a year, which equates to about $5 a month in future assessments. But this time, we need to present it in a timely fashion and make sure that all of the community is well educated about this project. The other thing that I would like to do is review some of the rules that are outdated and ineffectual. Now, the rules and policies have greatly contributed to our community. However, I think it's time to listen to the residents and, where possible, change some of the rules and only where appropriate. The other thing I would like to do is I would like to make a greater effort in getting new residents involved here in Sun Lakes. Volunteers have always been the cornerstone of this community. And as you know, lately, it's been very difficult in getting volunteers. The management company gives new residents orientation that explains the business side of living here. I would like to work with the marketing committee, the Welcome Home program, and the district delegate assembly to expand that and offer continuing information and education as to how they can become involved and why they should be. Now, in the last few minutes, you've heard the word "I" used a lot. But please believe me, when elected, my every decision, my every consideration, my every vote will be based on the word "us," because it is us who has to live with these decisions, and some can have long-term ramifications. I am a resident just like you, and I will never forget that. So I am asking you for your vote so that I would promise I will do my best to keep Sun Lakes great. Thank you.
Our next candidate is Kevin Wolfswinkel.
Good morning. I'm number 2. Everybody see the Dirty Dozen? Number 2. Hi, for those who don't know me, I'm Kevin Wolfswinkel, and I'm a California native. In fact, I graduated from Rimmer World High School just 40 miles away from here in Lake Arrowhead. In 2002, after 25 years with Corning Cable System as a sales director of a $150 million sales division, I retired and went to my dream house in Running Springs on the side of the mountain where you could look down. But in 2003, after the old fire and our second evacuation from the house, my wife and I decided it's time to start looking around for some other place to live. We moved into Sun Lakes in 2005, and that's over 10 years as a Sun Laker. Cookie, my wife, agrees it was the right move. Next thing is that I believe in KISS, which is keep it simple, stupid. So I'm going to try and keep it simple by saying I'm running for re-election just because I believe the current board has done a super job of staying focused on the job requirements. I'm proud to have been a member of the board for the past 4 years, and I think we've done a lot of good things. So let's talk about the good things. Let's talk about the job. The number one thing is that a board member has a fiduciary responsibility and is duty-bound to act in the best interests of all residents. Okay? Fiduciary duty is the highest standard of care imposed under law when one is responsible for the property of others. Sun Lakes has 3,327 homes, over 70 clubs and groups, each with individual interests, thoughts, and opinions. We have about 6,700 residents. It's no small endeavor to try and relate and try and understand and prioritize Sun Lake's present and future needs. I truly believe that the accomplishments of the Master Board of Directors over the past few years speak for themselves. Be it the sand wedge renovation, the veranda construction, the golf liners, water liners in the golf courses, Breckenridge drainage system, lawsuit and subsequent repairs of that drainage system, the development of a strategic planning process, new pump stations in both the executive and championship course, purchase and sale of the Wailea house, which everyone knows that you're going to get a rebate back on that. In fact, I tried to buy that house myself, but our legal counsel told me that wasn't the right thing to do, so I didn't put an offer in. And one other thing, bingo. We have bingo here where it's been canceled at Solera, been canceled at Plantation Lakes. So we have an ongoing charitable organization that's fun for the residents and giving money to charity now. And that committee was almost dead a year and a half ago. Next, let's talk a little bit about some of the CIA, Community Associations Institute, Model Code of Ethics for board members. One is to strive at all times to serve the best interests of the association as a whole, regardless of your personal interests. Might sound a little bit like my ballot write-up in the back. Use sound judgment to make best possible business decisions for the association, taking into consideration all the available information, circumstances, and resources. The board has also employed a SWOT analysis, which is strength, weaknesses, opportunities, and threat, which is looking business analysis and looking at various issues, including long-range planning, water-wise planting materials, budget requirements, and all other things. Number 3, you have to act within the boundaries of their authority, as defined by law and the governing documents of the association, CC&Rs, bylaws, civil code, etc. 4, we got to provide opportunities for residents to comment on decisions facing the association, which I think we do. 5, a board member needs to perform their duties without bias for or against any individual or group of owners or non-owners or non-owner residents. And the list continues. From the same article, homeowners have the right to have honest, fair, and respectful treatment by community leaders and managers. Prudent expenditures of fees and other assessments. Live in a community where the property is maintained according to established standards. Homeowners have the responsibility to read and comply with the governing documents of the community, to maintain their property according to established standards, to ensure that those who reside on their property, tenants, relatives, friends, adhere to the rules and regulations. It's my desire to be reelected and maintain the continuity and momentum that I've seen and been a part of for the past 4 years. Thank you very much. I appreciate your vote.
The next candidate is Ray Curtis.
Good morning. Before I start with the time, it was brought to my attention, so I have an announcement to make that happened unbeknownst to me. When I approached the area today, I was informed that the signs on the entrance were taken down. All the signs except my large one that it would take a bulldozer to get out. So I had nothing to do with it. I don't know who did it. I'm opposed to that. They should be prosecuted. It's not acceptable. I had nothing to do with it, and that's all I can say. So I just heard that this morning, so I thought I would share that with you. Okay. So now, good morning. And every day above ground is a great day. It's the way I look at it every morning. I get up and thank the Lord that I'm here and able to enjoy my family and this beautiful place. But what I would like to do this morning is share with you 3 things. Why I'm running, why I'm qualified, and just some ideas of what I've learned from going to different coffees, listening in the lounge, reading in the lifestyle, what I would like to propose. That fair? Okay. Why I'm qualified? Well, I've worked with large groups before. I've been an assistant superintendent of schools. I've been the principal, administrator, high school, middle school. I've dealt with 26,000 students. Well, as a board member, we have HOA members, which I correlate to students. We all have an interest to do something. So I've worked with large groups. Within large groups, we have different opinions. And one of my talents in human resources was to listen, identify, resolve at the lowest issues before it gets to a point where we have chaos and problems. So those are the expertise I bring with my background, and I've done it all my life. Why am I running? Number one, I live here. Okay? I live here. I've been here 14 years. 4 years ago, I purchased. Now, after attending the board meetings and reading the lifestyle and listening to the new individuals and the middle individuals and our senior individuals in HOA about their frustrations of not getting correct information, timely information, when they request, why can't we try something, a pilot program? There's different segments from paddleball, bocce, golf, etc. There's a pool people group, just as one example. You out there in the summer and you'd like to come in and get a beverage to support the lounge. A lot of people bring their own because there's no service. I guess there was an attempt to have a trial program to say, can we have some service out there so you don't have to come in the wet bathing suits, and also if there's a function in there to compromise that. So that's just one issue that was rejected. What would I like to see happen, I'm on the master board, if I'm fortunate. First of all, I will be visible and accessible, okay? Not just here, but out there. I'd like to see the following. Cost containment. We spend a lot of money. Let's see if we're getting the bang for our buck. More transparency. There's issues of transparency. I believe we need more transparency. Timely and accurate information. Ergo, the dog park scenario, where this inflated price of a dog park was inaccurate. Look for ways to improve a revenue stream. Let's take a look at way we can increase the revenue, so lower maybe our dues, etc. I just talked to Jason today. The lounge food service, that's in the red. We're broke. Corking fees going up to $7.50. We're getting a new menu, new prices. Let's look at a way to increase revenue, but maybe by opening up the pool or other areas, maybe extended hours. I'd like to have the bid process reviewed. I understand it. I talked to Jason how it works. There is an auditor built into the situation, but what I'm hearing, there's questions about it. About the bid process, about 3 bids, sealed bids, that's going to their cronies or friends. If that's a perception out there, I want to see if it's a fact or just fabrication, because people have questions. It's going to this group, not others have an opportunity. I would like to review the restaurant and lounge, as I mentioned earlier, and I'd like to look at, if we're not happy with our budget, to have an outside source take a look at it. We already pay PCM to look at it, and I talked to Jeremy, that's what they do. But there's a lot of experts out here. I've already been inundated with individuals' breakdowns of budgets so a layman can understand where our money goes and what we get to keep. Review the committee process. I've talked to individuals tonight, last night and today, from the architect committee to others. There's rules, but there also should be some fairness in recognizing that there needs to be maybe some modification. That brings me to the CCRs. The CCRs need to be updated. They're antiquated. Are they meeting the needs of individuals that in our complex? So all these I'm saying today is just a beginning list, and I'm looking for more when you come to a coffee or want to have a coffee. But whatever decision I make is going to be for the best interest of everyone. Not this group, that group. It's for the best. How can it make everyone this a better place? So on the election ballot, I would appreciate your consideration for a vote for Ray Curtis. And thank you very much.
Our next candidate is Ray Curtis.
Ray Curtis.
I get another
Sorry,
time?
you already had a shot. Jim Searcy.
Are you still working? Yeah. Good morning. My name is Jim Searcy. My wife Barbara and I moved here a year and a half ago to be closer to our grandchildren. There's so many things to do here, we got involved right away. Corral, barbershop chorus, duplicate bridge, bocce, dinner dance club, big band dance club, friendship club, young at heart. We're performing members of the Mystery Theater Club. I started immediately going to master board meetings and applied to be on the Finance Advisory Committee. Now I am chair of the Finance Advisory Committee. Professionally, my background includes Indiana University for a BS in Accounting and Economics, and University of Notre Dame for a Doctor of Laws degree. My career was in trust banking involving investments, planning, management, and budgeting. My volunteer activities include, among a whole bunch of other things, being treasurer of country clubs in Indiana and North Dakota. On retirement, I moved to Sun City Summerlin in Las Vegas. It has 7,800 homes, 3 golf courses, 3 restaurants, 5 fitness and activity centers, 5 pools, a performing arts center, and 350 employees. I got involved and spent 2 years as chair of the restaurant committee, 2 as chair of the golf committee, 3 as chair of the finance committee, and 4 years as president of the board. I know firsthand the kind of time it takes to be an effective board member, And Sun Lakes is absolutely worth that kind of time commitment. Number of issues face us as we look into the future. We have a well-maintained but aging infrastructure. We, like everybody in Southern California, face a continued drought. And as technology improves over the years in many areas, we must take advantage of that technology to keep costs under control. Cost control is critical. We're a $12 million business as well as a lifestyle. We have $9 million in capital reserves, and that must be used judiciously and effectively to maintain our high bar of excellence. In the last 10 years, Sun Lake's monthly assessments have increased by 57%. During that same period, the CPI for Los Angeles, Orange, and Riverside counties has increased by only 19.9%. It might appear that there could be room for improvement. Most importantly, our master board needs transparency. While it has the legal option to make financial decisions and purchases from our reserve fund in executive session, I don't think it's the best approach. A summary report on purchases is no substitute for our residents knowing that there have been competitive bids, that the equipment that's being replaced really has reached the end of its useful life by verified preventative maintenance schedules, not just because it was on a reserve fund that said 10 years ago that it would last 10 years, and so now it's being replaced. The residents of this community need information, and they need an opportunity to comment on it. This may take more time. It might take another meeting. But our residents deserve that kind of diligent attention to fiscal responsibility. Our committee structure should be the right hand of a functioning governance and a right hand of the board. However, our master board has seemed to be less than enthusiastic about involving our committees. If elected, I propose that we make all financial decisions that are possible in open session, with everybody having the opportunity to look at the supporting material on the website beforehand so they can propose questions. We should study alternative ways to manage our expense to control costs in the future. I have the background, experience, and I'm willing to devote the necessary time to be an effective member of the board, considering your interests and opinions. My name is Jim Searcy, and I am a candidate for your board.
The next candidate is John Clark.
Can you hear me now? Good. We had a lot of problems, and this thing has never been friendly to me. One problem you have about being the last on the deck, so to speak, is you have to ensure that the audience, who's probably heard everything they want to hear now, is still awake. So I'll try and get through this quickly. I'm John Clark, of course, the director and the current board-appointed treasurer. We have a lot of new people here, so I'll give you a little bit of background information. My wife, Maribel, and I moved here in 1997 because it was the finest retirement community area, and of course it still is. I started out as a golf course doctor and have been active pretty much ever since, which includes a number of years as a treasurer for the charity, and of course my experience on the board, where my 40 years of management experience in budgeting and planning, contracts administration, and human resources has been a real help. 14 years ago, I began writing an article for the Men's Golf Club newsletter talking about the association's finance because the information wasn't readily available. Today, of course, it's when you think about it, there is no other subject where transparency is more vital than our financial status. The article, of course, is now in Lifestyles, and I think it's been accessed because it provides easily understood information in a timely format and keeping it away from an accounting structure. The idea was to get that out to most people in an understandable format. I've enjoyed being a part of the board and also being part of the things that we've accomplished this last couple of years, most of which you've already heard, of course, like our clubhouse remodel, a beautiful veranda, the upgraded sand wedge, the new mailboxes throughout the community, the preventative maintenance program that we have to take care of our 4 million square feet of asphalt roadway. Financially, we're stronger than ever. We are the envy of many associations. We've transitioned from successive years of deficits to years of surplus, which are now being redistributed to the homeowners. Our reserves are getting back to where they were several years ago when we had to make the big investment, of course, in the clubhouse remodel. We've introduced zero-based budgeting, and we have another thing is the periodic review of our policies and procedures, so we don't continue outdated methods. All of us, all of this has been accomplished because we've had proactive boards who believe it or not, very strongly in transparency. We've had directors who've been willing to work through their differing opinions towards a common goal and who believe in continual improvement, but at an affordable pace and without taking risks. There are challenges ahead, but your board has very capable support. We have management team on site as best we've ever had. Our legal counsel is the recognized authority in community law in California. Our accounting firm has 20 years experience specializing in homeowner accounting. And of course, where would we be without our volunteers? The challenges include our declining interest income. This year, we will be about 70% less than where we were back in 2007, which was our best year. That equates to $4 per homeowner per month that has to be made up elsewhere in the budget. Not a lot we can do of it because of the restrictions on what we can invest in. One small way, of course, is to increase the reserves, and hopefully rates will increase in time. Then, of course, there's water conservation. We are planning for next year on the golf course. We got work schedule in the restaurant. We've got work schedule changes, new training methods, more events on the veranda, and so forth. We still need to deal with rising utility rates, mandated rate increases, dealings with the city, and of course our aging population. Excuse me. All things considered, the association is thriving, but if we want it to continue, you're going to need as directors, you're going to want as directors, individuals with in-depth knowledge of the issues and how best to address them. Individuals transparent and proven track records, and who will build on what we have. And finally, someone you know has their heart and soul buried deep in this community. I'm that kind of a director. Thank you, and I'm asking for your vote.
Thank you, all candidates. The next item on the agenda is the question and answer period. I have 6 questions that have been submitted by the panel, been qualified by the panel. Each of the questions have been thoroughly checked by all 4 of the delegates back there and feel that they are apropos for all candidates to answer. Each candidate would be allowed in a minute and a half to answer the question, and we will begin the rotation at the far end of the table with John Clark for the first question, and the second question will begin with the next candidate, and so on. The first question we have is, what changes do you foresee and support for Sun Lakes Country Club in the future? What changes do you foresee and support for Sun Lakes Country Club in the future?
I guess I'm a little confused by the question. Changes in support. I'm not sure whether we're talking about management changes, outside services that we might call on. I apologize, folks. I'm not sure what the intent of the question is.
I'm sorry, John, I can't qualify it any more than what the question is written here.
I understand.
I'm assuming that the changes either could be operationally or management-wise or anything that you might foresee.
Well, certainly as far as management-wide, I think we have PCM has been here since day one practically. I think they've done a fine job. I think, as I said earlier, we have an excellent, the best ever team on site right now. And I've received, for example, assuming they're competitive, of course, which they have been in the past, that we will continue with PCM, and that's really that's the ongoing function in the community that holds everything together on a day-to-day basis. Thank you.
And read the question one more time there, please. Redo that question then for me, please.
The question is stated as, what changes do you foresee and support for Sun Lakes Country Club in the future?
Well, change is difficult, okay? We all know that. It's important that before you do any change, you make sure that the change is for the benefit of the good and the total, not just because of a special interest. First of all, you would take a look at what's working. If it's working, you look a way to improve that process. If something's not working, you try to find out why it's not working. And then the change comes from this body out here and the others in the HOA. You present the options. Why are you going to change? You just can't change for change's sake. So you lay out a plan, a direction, and then you identify the priorities in the change. You can't make it happen overnight. So you take a look at what is the item that needs to be addressed, to be modified or eliminated, that is going to do the best for our community. When that is done, then you move down the list to take another look at what needs to be done. I believe in continual improvement. If you keep doing the same thing or not changing, you're not going to grow. You're not going to look at it. So the board has the obligation to take a look at what is working, what's not working, and move forward. A quick example, here's the review of 2015. When I talked to Jason today, I said it would be, I have to say thank you. So I'll come back to this. Thank you. My time is up, and I will comply. So thank you.
Well, is this, Jason, you told me this is on. Is it on? Okay. The changes that I see are going to be, the board is going to have to be open to new technology, especially with the water restraints that are coming upon us and solar. Also, we have younger people moving in that are still working. They have new ideas. I need to find out what they are, what they would like to see happen here, and we can't stay status quo. We have to listen, and if we can, adjust to the type of living they would like to see and still keep Sun Lakes the way as great as it is. Thank you.
Predicting the future is always dangerous and has lots of risks to it. However, there are a few things, in addition to being open to it, as Sandra indicated, the technology changes in the future. In our community, we have a huge store of resources in all of you. And our committee structure right now doesn't effectively utilize those resources the way I believe that we should. I think our committee structure needs to be revitalized for the benefit of the community, to bring that resource to play as we look at alternatives for the future. The biggest thing that we're going to face, obviously, is water, both its cost and its availability. There's no question in my mind that in the very near future we're going to have to work on conversion of our turf to a more desert-like landscaping. It can be gorgeous, but it needs to be done to save water. Other technology things that need to be taken another hard look at, the solar farm. If you change, for instance, street lighting, technology has developed in street lighting from when our stuff was put in that doubles the lumens and divides by 4 the cost. There are so many things that are happening, and I want to be a part of that for your community. Thank you.
This is one where, can you hear me? This is one where it's hard to be number 5, but the community, water-wise, some people are talking about, everybody's talking about water is our number 1 issue. The changes in the future are going to be how do we control our water expense and how do we take care of our water issues. That being said, we have number 16 where we have a drainage issue from across the street from Beaumont and Loma Linda. That's a problem that needs to be taken care of in the future, and I see us pursuing that, which we already are. We have an aging population, which in the future, that's going to affect us. Now, there was somebody talking, I think it was Sandy, talking about we have younger people coming in, but over the past 2 years, our age has gone up. It hasn't gone down. Our average age has gone up to almost 79 years old. So that's an issue because older people want different things. Older people are not as quickly to react in terms of driving their carts and in terms of help that's needed by our community. So there's a number of things that I foresee happening in terms of just of our population and the growth. Most important, we need to do some more internal marketing. I see us looking at internally and asking questions of our population, saying, how can we improve more? As far as committees are concerned, committees, we struggle to get people to even apply for committees. So we need more help from the community. We need a more interested community and a more active community from the standpoint of helping our committees and then effectively helping the board. Thank you.
The next question will begin by answered by Ray, and it is as follows. What is your opinion of the current management system? What is your opinion of the current management system?
Okay, you're referring to PCM. Or you're referring to the board. My opinion is reserved at this point in time. I do not enter into a strong opinion without getting the facts. You know, I've heard a lot of information regarding different positions and thoughts on the management, but being new to this situation, I do my homework. I ask questions, I listen, and then I formulate a plan to address what I have then gained as truth versus the non-truth or items that are really not relevant to a specific area. So basically, being new, I need to do my homework, just as anyone would do before I make a strong opinion. Right now, my basic opinion is we need to do something different and take a look at better aspects of communicating with the HOA homeowners and get actual factual information in a timely manner. So until I do more homework to come to a conclusion of a stronger opinion, that's the position that I would take on this question at this time. And in closing, before I go, one of the things on the last question, this review, One of the things that's missing, and I talked to Jason about this, we need to plan. Failure to plan is no success, and I have another thank you. So I have to quit. Thank you. Okay, I will.
I'm going to take this question that it is pertaining to our current PCM management company. I think they are fantastic. I think they're very knowledgeable, and I think they're dedicated. Now, is there room for improvement? There's always room for improvement. And if there are concerns or issues and you feel they are not being addressed, as a board member, I would ask that you come and talk with me, and I will help get that resolved. But as far as the answer to this question, I like the management that we have now. Thank you.
PCM has been the manager of our community for some time, and our community has done well under their management. There are a lot of different ways to manage a community such as ours, and I think the board should constantly evaluate whatever process we are using for the long term. It may be that a PCM is the best alternative for us, but I think perhaps we should renegotiate and realign the contract, perhaps, which gives the community more control over what is done by PCM, and we don't have very much control at all at this point. But I think if any kind of change has to be approached with great care, it has to be approached with a consistent opinion of all of the board members and a consistent buy-in by the members of the community with thorough explanation before you go into any kind of change, even a renegotiation of the terms of our existing contract. It's not an easy question, but there are alternatives, and everything needs to be on the table and looked at periodically. Thank you.
Well, I can take the questions both ways. Current management, the board of directors, as I said earlier, I'm proud of what we've done in the last 4 years, and I think we're doing a great job. PCM, let's talk about them for a minute. I think they're an outstanding group. They've made the changes required to improve all the things that we enjoy here at Sun Lakes, and they've done an outstanding job. And the contract was just renegotiated a year ago, by the way. So we looked at it, we went through it line item by line item, we changed it, we worked on it, we got PCM considerations for the things we wanted done, we added things to their contract that we wanted added, we took away things that they wanted added. So to say, what do I think about the current opinion of the current management, I think they're great. We have a fantastic maintenance director, we have a fantastic recreation director, we have a great general manager, a great assistant general manager. I'm telling you, the whole entire team that he's put together has changed in the last 3-4 years to be an outstanding team. I'm proud of them. Thanks.
Excuse me, I guess I'm last man on the totem pole. I've pretty much devoted most of my speech addressing this issue because I think we have a great team environment here. You know, we have the board, we have, as I went through in my talk, we've got a board which naturally I think does a very effective job. I think most people acknowledge that PCM has done an outstanding job in coming up. They've certainly improved themselves over the last few years. We have excellent personnel in all of the key slots. We have, as I mentioned there, we have our outside support, which I think is about the best you can get. And then finally, as I said, we have our volunteers, which are an integral part of the whole process, and which the board relies on to an extent that probably most people don't realize. So, yeah, I think we have an excellent management system. Thank you.
The next question will begin answered by Sandy Moyer, and it is as follows. Do you actively participate in Sun Lakes clubs and activities now? And if not, this is a two-part question. If not, will you do so if elected? Repeat. Do you actively participate in Sun Lakes clubs and activities now? If not, will you do so if elected?
I am actively involved. I belong to the Women's Golf Club, the Couples, Young at Heart, Friendship Club, Dinner Dance. I also am on the Marketing Committee, and I have been chairman of the Sun Lakes Charity the last 2 years, and this year I am co-chair. Thank you.
As I indicated in my opening remarks, I'm a member of the chorale, the barbershop chorus, duplicate bridge, bocce, Young at Heart. I'm a performing member of the Mystery Theater Club, and I am chair of the Finance Advisory Committee. And I plan to continue that level of activity because this is one great place to live.
I actively participate in the Men's Golf Club. I'm a member of Young at Heart. I attend all the charity functions. Some of my activities are tied to my board position in terms of I'm an advisor or liaison, have been over the past 4 years, restaurant and lounge, golf advisory, safety and security, marketing committee, bingo, and actively participate. I had a hard time with that word this morning. In bingo, the first year I was here. The past year, I have to admit that I've been a little less active because I went through, as many of you already know, I had cancer, and I'm a cancer survivor, but I never missed any of my board meetings, and I'm 1 year clean as of last month. So that kind of, thank you. That kind of toned down my activities a little bit, but I continue to be active, and I will continue as actively as I can in the future. Thank you.
Over the years, I've been involved in a number of committees. Golf club, obviously, from almost day one. Friendship club, we played bridge with a number of groups, as some of you probably know. And of course, the board, which takes up a surprising amount of your time, and are including the lives and on the various committees that Kevin. And as many of you know, recently I've had to restrict my issues, my volunteerism, or my participation, I guess you might say, in the social activities because of some family health reasons. But I enjoy what we're doing, and I try and get into as much as I possibly can. Thank you.
There are a great many activities out here. It's kind of overwhelming. I have been a part of the tennis until my knee went out. I have been participate at the Young at Hearts. I'm recovering from prostate surgery, so I have not been able to be out a lot and doing a lot of activities. But one of the things I do, I attend the activities, from the Follies to the shows that go on. I'm kind of disappointed we didn't have anything coming up for St. Patrick's Day other than in the kitchen, but all you Irish people will have to have a beer and celebrate that. But it's important that you do become active, and there's a lot of things to do, and everyone has certain limitations or time constraints, but I do what I can and get involved as much as I can. I even made an inquiry into the sewing committee because I need some help and I need some skills approved. So there's a lot of things you can get involved in, and there's always something for you to do. So I wish these committees all the best and keep recruiting people to participate. And if I could do more, I will. Thank you.
And the next question is, and it will be begun by Jim, will you be able to devote to the board the amount of days and hours required to be an active board member?
Absolutely. And I am under no illusions as to the kind of time commitment it takes to be an effective member of a board on a major community such as ours. I have been there, I have done that. It is not my first rodeo, and that time is the first priority that I have. Might I have to cut back another activity? Sure. And probably if I had to choose, the one I would cut back is the one that takes the most time, and that would probably be Corral. It's a great group, but it takes 6-7 hours a week. And that might have to go with the boards. But if elected, the board priorities always are in first place.
I've been on the board for 4 years. I've never missed a meeting. I think I missed one delegate meeting, which is not mandatory, but I think I was out on vacation at that time. So I've already devoted the time, and I will continue to give that time. Otherwise, I wouldn't be running for re-election. Thank you.
Sorry. Well, as a board member for some time, I think people are aware that I'm more than willing to make the commitment I have. I enjoy it, and because I feel it's not only good for the community, because I think I'm making a contribution, I feel personally it's good for myself. It's, I don't know really much more to say, is I've been there and I've done that, and I've enjoyed it, and I will continue to do that if I'm lucky. Thank you.
To answer the question, if I didn't have that commitment, I wouldn't be up here today. I'd be out in the audience to do that. Time management is one of my specialties. I've been involved in boards before that take a lot of time, and that's just in the sessions. There's a lot of pre and post things that go along with it. My commitment is, number one, where I live here, I want to make this place better for everyone involved. So time, commitment. If I say I'm going to do something, I'm going to do something. My other passion is education. The education system needs some help, and I'm involved in that. I've helped with the little people in the golf and first tee. I'm involved, and I think if you want something done, you go to someone that has a schedule that is controllable. So to answer the question, yes, I'm committed. It will not interfere with any other items that I undertake. So thank you.
Yes, excuse me. Yes, I will devote and have the time and the energy to be on the board. I live with a gentleman who spent 8 years doing that, so I am well aware of what it takes to make a good and dedicated board member, and I will try my best to do that, and I have no problems with giving my time to be a good and dedicated board member. Thank you.
The next question we have is as follows. How do you feel about reviewing the CC&Rs? How do you feel about reviewing the CC&Rs? Kevin?
Well, that's a fun question. The CC&Rs have been in place for 25 plus years. To change CC&Rs and update them requires a vote of the entire community. That's an election type thing, a ballot vote where you have to go in through a process. Now, can you amend the rules much simpler? Yes, you can. Can you change the bylaws and make some changes as you go along? I'm not sure of all the requirements there off the top of my head, but to update CCNRs, you see a lot of that in like Kelly Richardson's articles in the Press Enterprise and say, well, we should update. It's a long, involved process. The question would have, if it makes sense, I'm in favor of it. If it doesn't make sense, and we don't think it's something that's, the board doesn't think it's something that's doable, then I would say, or it's too expensive, or it's not needed. I would say don't do it. So I'm kind of giving you a yes and no on that one, only because it's where do you want to change them, and what CCNR changes do you make. If it's looking at making some master architectural committee changes, that's a different thing than a CCNR, even though it falls under the CCNR. So I mean, there's nuances to that, and there's good and bad to it. That's about all I can say. I'm willing to review it, obviously. Thank you.
I really agree with what Kevin has said on this. I'd like to add a couple of things. When you start getting into the CNRs, like on an overall basis, what you find is that you have a domino effect. You want to change this, but this changes this and this and this and this, and it goes on and on and on. I've read a number of horror stories about what is involved in trying to change the CCNRs. It's an incredibly expensive process. It needs to be done occasionally. We have the apparatus, you might say, to make the changes we need, and we do. But to overhaul the CCNRs because we need the CCNRs with a new date on them is an expensive proposition, and I would not recommend it. Thank you.
Yes, yes, I feel that the CCR should be reviewed. There should be an annual schedule of when they would be periodically reviewed. Apparently, that has not been the case. Nothing's been established. So right now, we're faced, should we do the CCRs or not do the CCRs? Is there an expense? So that should have already been planned and somewhere in the agenda of the master board to have that on a schedule to update. I know we can amend, but if there are some changes due to the weather or the different type of requirements from the governor, then we need to take a look at modifying it. So a document is not set in stone. It's a living document that needs to be brought to the attention of the board by the homeowners. And if the homeowners feel that something should be modified, it is incumbent upon the master board to listen to that and advise the homeowners that yes, this can be done. There's an expense to do this, but that shouldn't be a deterrent. So the CCR should be reviewed and make sure they fit the present and also the upcoming future for the HOA members of the community. So thank you.
Yes, I would be willing to review the CCNRs. I do agree with Kevin, it would take a lot of time and could be costly. But if it's something that would benefit Sun Lakes, or if there are some CCNRs that the residents want to be reviewed and have legitimate reasons, then yes, we need to take the time to do so, and I would be willing to do it. Thank you.
CCNRs are written by a developer's attorney long before the first document is recorded and the first shovel is ever turned. And they are written by the developer's attorney to favor the developer. The developer cares about selling houses, not how a community can function after he's long gone. Is it difficult to pass change in the CCRs? The voting requirements to change it makes it extremely difficult in a community-wide vote because we don't have a history of getting very much of a turnout in a situation like that. Is it doable? Absolutely. And you can reduce the cost. Not eliminate it by any means, but you can reduce the cost by creating a committee of retired attorneys throughout our community that go through the document line by line and recommended changes that are done to the benefit of the community, and those changes are brought to the board, and once a proposed set is adopted, then you take it out to the community with a lot of explanation. It's doable, and it probably ought to be done, but it needs to be done carefully, and it will take some time. But it's a volunteer effort.
The last question we have is as follows. Do you think the delegate assembly should be used more in recommending items to the board of directors? And John, you're first.
The answer is yes. I do believe the delegate assembly should be used more. When you think about it, it's the board's contact with the community, and it's a two-way street, of course. Feedback through the delegates to the board to give them current on what the community's feeling on different issues, and then going downhill from the board to the delegates to the community. Both advantages. There's a lot of talent on there, a lot of people who are very interested in it. The board, I think, tries to encourage and reinforce the feeling that the delegate assembly is a very important part of our management system, if you want. So yeah, I very definitely feel that it's important and needs to be taken advantage of and perhaps broadened. Thank you.
Yes, the delegate assembly has been put in place for a specific purpose, to provide input. By this question generated, I'm beginning to think, so there must be a situation or some difficulty in that. So that's going to be on my list to look into with the delegates assembly to find out what the issue is. Are they not being well received by the master board, or what can we do to improve that dialogue and communication? So the question is, there's something beneath that question that I really am not aware of right now, and whoever wrote that, I'd like to see you in the back of the room and kind of get a clarification on that. So there's something more to that question, but you have to have communication. It has to be a two-way, and people aren't going to come forward and bring suggestions or opinions if it's not going to be recognized, or at least an explanation of why it didn't move forward. And that's the same way about participation. If people don't participate, they're not participating for a reason. Either they've given up, they feel that they're not listened to, and the same thing applies to the volunteers. If they're not appreciated or validated, so there's some situations out here that the master board needs to address, and how they address that is by listening and asking questions. So the answer, yes, the delegate assembly is important, and needs to be that communication improved, I believe, from the question. Thank you.
The delegate assembly are the eyes and ears of the community for the board, and absolutely they should be listening, and they should be more involved and give their recommendations. Upon saying that, then the board needs to look at the recommendations and see if it's appropriate or is the best for the whole community. And if it's not accepted, or something the board feels they cannot do, then, as Ray said, we need to get back to them and let them know what decision was made and why it was made. But absolutely, the delegate assembly needs to be a great part of what the board does. Thank you.
Our delegate assembly is a direct reflection of the interests of the residents in all 23 districts. And as they communicate to the board the collective judgment of those districts, the board needs to pay attention. It may be that recommendations from the delegate assembly have fallen off in recent years because the board has not shown much of an interest in listening to recommendations from them or from the committee structure. And that could be one reason why the committee structure has we don't have as many volunteers as we had in the past, and that's a situation that needs to change. It needs to be revitalized, but it is going to take a direct dialogue between the board, and the board's got to pay attention and acknowledge those recommendations and communicate back so that our community can use the resources, the expertise, and the opinions of our residents to make our community governance more effective.
How many of you have attended district delegate meeting? Take a look around you. I've been to all of them, as most of my other board members that we've had have been to almost all of them as well. We do pay attention, and we do believe in the district delegate assembly group and the effort that people put out. As Sandy said, the district delegates are the eyes and ears, if you will, of 23 districts, as Jim quoted, 23 districts as well. That's a lot of people. There's 7,000 people here roughly in Sun Lakes. So you gotta have those delegates out there giving you feedback and input to help you make the decisions on the board. Once again, I believe that we've been listening to the district delegates. We can't always do what they want to do, and I'll give an example. Recently, we had a deal where the district delegates were talking about helping their neighbors and forming a Sun Lakers group to go help the neighbors that were invalid or needed help with their doing chores or whatever. And we seriously looked at that, but after we consulted with our insurance agent, we consulted with the association attorney, we said, geez, we can't put that there because that's a liability for the corporation, the association, all of you. So that had to be handled in another way, but we were listening. So I think that I don't see that changing. I would have the same attitude as I'd had for the past 4 years. Thanks.
The last item on our agenda are the closing statements from our candidates. We will use the reverse order of their introductions. They will be permitted a minute and a half to make their statement, and we begin with John Clark.
This morning I tried to explain my thinking on why Sun Lakes continues as the finest retirement community in Southern California. And one reason, of course, I believe, is the great management team, and I'm proud to be part of it. On a little bit different vein, what is frustrating to me as a board member is the lack of time in which to discuss some of the claims made by particularly the new candidates. We have what I call a shopping list, where the candidate states that virtually everything can be proved on, and he or she is the one to do it. An example is, for example, the reserves that we've talked about and how the need to look at them and make sure we are not knee-jerking and just buying what's on the list. Folks, that's what the board does. We get recommendations in detail from our staff all the way up, and that it's our job. That's what we do, and it's being done. Another thing, just to add something on lighting. Lighting, we went through lighting a few years ago, and that's why we have enhanced lighting in the parking lots around the area. We determined that doing it throughout the community, at that time, based on that technology, was too expensive for us. So, bottom line, Sun Lakes has a solid management team. As I said, I'm proud to be part of it. I'd like to see the success story continue, and that's why, as I said earlier, I'm asking for your vote. Thank you very much.
Jim Searcy.
Thank you all for being here this morning, and it's kind of intimidating to know that...
Jim, your mic behind you.
Okay, we'll try it with a mic this time. Thank you all for being here. It's intimidating to know that we're the last thing standing between you and lunch. If elected, I'll propose that we make all possible financial decisions in open sessions, with the information available on our website along with the agenda. I will strive to revitalize our committee system to be more proactive, to encourage recommendations that will improve our community. We should study alternative ways to manage our expenses to control our costs in the future. I have the background, the experience, the dedication, and I'm willing to devote the necessary time to be an effective member of the board to carefully consider your interests and your opinions. My name is Jim Searcy, and I'm a candidate for your master board. Thank you.
Ray Curtis.
I would also like to thank you for attending, and appreciate your attendance. I've learned a lot from the questions today prior to the meeting starting and last night's overflow crowd of about 225 individuals. I'll refer to this. This is a nice little review, and it looks like we're going to have a lot of money because I think, as Jim said, we replaced a lot of items here, and this was a lot of expense. And in my discussion with Jason today, it would really be nice if we informed our HOA owners, maybe on the back page, of some goals. You have to have goals and plan. It would be nice to see some tentative goals that the master board has gone through and suggested, so we can see something that we're striving for. And that would be one of the things I would like to introduce, that we have some goals, that everyone knows what we're trying to do for the homeowners. As I said earlier, there needs to be some changes. If you keep doing what we're doing, you're going to get the same thing. So it's up to you and your friends to make that decision. If you're happy, vote the way it is. If you would like some modifications, some improvements of what you've seen, what you've heard, what you've read, then that's your decision. So in closing, I would appreciate your consideration. I have a sign up back there for individuals one-on-one and coffees, and that's when you really get into the nuts and bolts of the dialogue of the candidates. So once again, thank you very much for your attention, and I'll see you soon.
Kevin Wolfswinkel.
Ran out of time last night when we got to the end of this, so I'm going to try and make sure that we stay within the timing. My campaign's all about C's. Community. We're all partners here, all 3,327 homeowners. Create a culture of civility, commitment to meet the challenges, committees, make recommendations for continuous improvements, changes, work through them, whether forced by the city or state or other circumstances. Basically, that one's about water. Conduct business in an open and transparent manner. I believe we've been doing that. Consistently work towards maintaining and improving our quality of life here at Sun Lakes. I think we've been doing that. Consider every shareholder's concerns thoughtfully with respect. My concept for serving another term of the master board is all about these C's. One more C. Cookie, she promised not to kill me if I ran for the board again. And for you who don't know, my wife is Cookie, and she's out playing golf right now. A couple more comments. George Washington's rules of civility and decent behavior, the 110th rule. Labor to keep alive in your breast that little spark of celestial fire called conscience. Translated, don't allow yourself to become jaded, cynical, or calloused. There's 3 positions available for be filled on the board. You need to vote for all 3 of those positions, not just one. You need to be able to make sure that you vote and vote as your conscience dictates. Thank you.
And Sandy Moyer.
First off, I'd like to thank all of you for coming this morning and taking an interest in your community. Some time ago, I read an article on HOA boards that sums up my feelings and attitude of what makes a good board member. And it read, "The best association directors are the ones who understand team governance, that individually they have no power, and that the power resides in the board as a group. An attitude of service is the foundation of a healthy board. Directors serve their community. Members are neighbors, and so are the directors. The best-run associations understand that governance requires balancing financial, maintenance, legal process, and community concerns. The first three cannot overshadow the last, the neighborhood. By voting for me, you have my promise that these three statements will be the cornerstone of the service on the board. I ask that you take time to vote, and you vote for me in this election. Thank you."
The candidates forum last night and this morning have been taped and will be shown on Channel 97. And please tell your friends and your neighbors to watch it on Channel 97, encouraging them to vote. We would like to have a big vote. Please pay attention to the casting your vote for the IRS provision. That is very, very important for our HOA, and a yes vote is certainly in order. I would be remiss if I didn't thank all of the delegates for volunteering their time, for the question panel, and to Linda in front doing the time. And finally, let's all give a big hand to the candidates willing to volunteer their time for our benefit. Thank you all for attending. And please cast your vote. Good morning.